Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the FPL Pubcast, the weekly FPL preview stream we do every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Joining me this week, we have my normal co-host, Trig, our channel regular, the wonderful FPL D-Unit, and joining us for the first time making his podcast debut is a long-time supporter of the channel, the co-host of the Double Pivot podcast, along with Shane, who we had on earlier in the season, Kieran, aka FPL Discomfort. How are you doing, Kieran? All right?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks, Gary. Thanks a lot for having me on here. Definitely, as you mentioned, someone who enjoys watching. You guys speak about it each week, so good to be on here. Quickly raided the fridge to see what I had in there to be able to make a podcast, and we've settled on a bottle of rosé. So we'll see how that goes during the stream today.
The last time I saw you was at Fest, where you were telling me about how much. What was it? The double.
Two for one cocktails. That wasn't advertised, which I will still love, me turning up, walking up to the bar and just saying to the guy, when's 2 for 1 cocktails, which isn't advertised anywhere. And he looked around, asked someone else. They looked equally confused and replied, I guess all the time. I'm like, well, give me a 2 for 1 cocktail.
Yep.
That was my hack at Fest.
I didn't actually get one that night. It was a bit of a waste. Really. Craig, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to tonight's stream and the Chelsea match later on.
Chelsea match, Bayern Munich, we were saying, wasn't it? Tonight.
Going to be a cracker. Going to be a cracker.
Darren, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, Gary. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Been thinking a lot about FPL this week, a lot about my team, more than I usually do. I've been through Wildcard, I mean, I haven't wildcarded, but thinking about Wildcard, then thinking about free hitting next week, and then triple captain, and then I'm thinking about bench boosting that. We'll get onto all that later. It's been a bit of a complex FPL week. Go on, Dennis.
Really quickly, though, I just want to go back really quickly to Sunday night. On a scale of, Sunday night, yep. On a scale of 1 to 10, how close were you to wanting to wild card when Haaland scored that second goal?
Well, it was you winding me up in your, because I was watching your watch along at Man United, and I was saying to him, Haaland's not done anything yet. And obviously we had the horrible experience of watching Salah not get, he got there in the end, didn't he, in the 94th minute, and then he scored once, and then Darius is like, come on in, and then he scores again, and I just turned your stream off, mate, and I think I had to go for a walk to prevent myself from smashing up my computer. But yeah, so I was very close to it on Sunday night, but sometimes then you have to like make this. You have to be a bit dispassionate, don't you? You have to think, right, am I doing this out of emotion or logic? And it would have been out of emotion. So your mind games didn't get to me, Darren.
It was close. I reckon if he'd scored a third, you would have done it. I reckon if he'd scored a third, you're like, stop this. Right?
Possibly. All right, so what we're going to do today, we're going to have a look at our teams from last game week. We're going to have a look at 7 or 8 players who I think, and the reason I sort of thought about doing this week is one of the reasons I thought about wildcarding is there are some players, I know this word is hated in FPL, essential, right? We're not going to say they're essential, but we're going to rate these 7 or 8 players and how much we're going to give them an essentialness rating on 1 to 10, basically, where 10 is actually essential and 1 is, not essential at all. Then we're going to look at the games for this week, and then we'll have a look at our teams for next week. So before I start, a bit of admin as usual. This stream is done, all season is being done for 2 charities. Any money we earn from advertising revenue or super chats will go to Mind, who do a lot of work in the UK in terms of mental health, and then Street Child United, who do a lot of work globally with homeless children. And there are also links to both charities in the description below. So if you want to donate to them directly, you can do that by checking out the links to the description in the description below. I'll also point out there is a link to the wonderful Double Pivot podcast, which we'll try and remember to say again towards the end. If you want to listen, go out and subscribe. I'd highly recommend it to check out more of Kieran and Shane's content. And if you'd like to join our Pubcast mini league, we would love it if you did. The code to join is S3DHWZ. That's H3DHWZ. There is also a link in the description. If you click on it, it will take you straight to the website and sign you up to the mini league. So before we start, let's have a quick say a quick hello to people in the chat. So we've got Claire FPL. Hi Claire. Hi Pudner or Podner, our wonderful moderator. Hi to FPL Sparta John. How you doing, mate? Hi to Combe. Hi to Kevy. Hi to Harry Dawson. Hi to I am 1974, who says just the one Kieran enjoying his third bottle himself. I think of the old wine. Dan, hi mate. 5 at the back. Defcon Daddies. And Avi. Hi Avi. And finally, before we get around to our teams, if you are new around here and enjoy what you see, please subscribe to keep up to date with the channel. Please drop a like to help get the stream out there. And if you'd like to join the channel as a member, please hit the join button, where I do things like members only videos. I did one on Sunday night where I almost hit the wildcard during the members only video, but thankfully I didn't do it. And a lot of the members told me in the chat the next day, thank God you didn't, because you would have regretted it. All right, so we'll start by having a look over our teams, and we'll do it in ascending order from the lowest score, the worst team, to the best, which is Kieran's, the best one being. So we'll start with Darius's team. Darius is on 50 points, with Sells on 1, Senesi 3, Milenkovic 1, Diorf 1, Collins 3, Gapco Vice with 3, Bruno Fernandes with 2, Reinders with 3, Evan Nilsson with 5, Haaland captain with 26, and Watkins with 2. You really needed that Haaland double, didn't you, Darius?
Yeah, let's be honest. I was sitting there during that Manchester derby going, well, we're 1-0 down to a Phil Foden goal, and I was sitting there I was like, if Phil Foden had been started at the start of the year, I would have Phil Foden in my team. I would have these points, but he wasn't fit, and he scored. And I was like, I need a miracle. And I did. And thankfully, the big cyborg who I banged on about all week being the best captaincy choice heard the call at halftime. I'm telling you what, this was actually so close to being actually a very good week, because if Reindeers hadn't bottled that miss and he was clean through, I was at the moment, I was like, here we go, boys. This is going to be a 12 points added on to the score. And then when he missed, I was like, oh, bugger, I've gone from like 6. It would have been 64 points if he'd scored. I would have got an extra 6 points for Haaland, because Haaland would have had the assist. Reindeers would have gone up to, I think, 11 points. It would have worked out with the bonus points he would have got from that goal as well. So, but I look at it and I'm like, God, I would have got 64 points from 3 players doing something, which is insane. I think that's the thing. The first couple of weeks, and everyone goes, why is the content creators not doing very well? I can tell you why I haven't done very well. I have had no returns, and I've had captains that have done nothing for pretty much every week. So the first week of the season, Palmer captain, nothing.
You're not doing well because you got no points. Is that basically what you're saying?
Well, yeah, pretty much, yeah. That's it. But the second week, obviously, I had Saka captain, and that looked like it was going to be good. Then he got injured. Then I had the Cunha injury. Thankfully, this week, I nailed it. And all you need to know is if you nail a captain like that, it can literally be the difference between a red arrow and a green arrow. And that was so very close to a green arrow. I was just off. So when you look at the team, though, no one else did anything. It was all the Haaland show. Everyone else sat there and was crap. But I mean, I did pretty well considering I had that bench this week. No ability to score off the bench. So, I mean, I actually think this week the team looks not too bad. But I think I'm going to do a wildcard captaincy this week and just throw it at whoever it lands on.
I am 1974 is saying, are you in the top 10 million yet? I'll have to start putting ranks up at some point soon on the slides. You are in the top 10 million.
8.8 mil. 8.8 mil.
You are slowly improving, slowly getting up there. Do you have a Haaland, Kieran?
Yeah.
Did you captain him as well?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a question here from Harry Dawson. I'll come to you here, Kieran, because this was something we talked about on last week's stream, and I'll ask your opinion. Harry says, are the content creators not doing well? You don't have to answer this bit, because the AI hasn't caught up with the fact that DEF CONs are a thing yet. He says, give it a few weeks and it will just, and all their teams will be 5 at the back, the new meta. What do you reckon to that, Kieran?
I think the models are always crap to start the season anyway.
Yeah,
just in general. And I think like quite often, we've seen it right in previous seasons that the big people out there will quite often influence the majority of teams, like the big content creators, because of the number of people that are following them. And I think a few of the predictions that were seen as like strong certainties for a lot of them at the start of the season have flopped this year compared to last year, where I think they've got away with it to an extent, or at least held bad starts, but a bad start around 1.5 mil. So yeah, I think it's elements of that. People still not appreciating DEF CON, like my co-host Shane, who many an argument is had on our streams about that and the value of it. And I think it's also the case where there's been more clean sheets than there have been in previous seasons. And those kind of factors mean the people that did apply DEF CON logic are also benefiting from more cleans than they normally would at certain teams. But look, I'm someone who laughed at them all because the models was telling them to get double or triple Spurs defence in for game week 1 for their bench boost. And I thought they were mental because they were playing Man City next. And now I'm the mental one because they've got 3 clean sheets in 4 matches. So, yeah, I think it's one of those where we all look like idiots at least 50% of the time playing a game where we're predicting points. And I think when people are relying on a model or there's more commonality amongst the majority of people reaching similar decisions, it's going to lead to more of them having those bad results. And then people that don't follow that crowd, like Ash from FPL Juice, doing really well to start the season.
Yeah, he's top of the content creator league, isn't he? Trig, do you reckon the clean sheets we're seeing at the minute, do you reckon that's a trend that's going to continue, or is it just variance from 4 game weeks?
It's not going to continue at the same rate, is it? I mean, a lot of the attacks we could see a few more.
Trig,
I don't think.
Yeah, your sound's fine now. It was just a little bit blurry for a minute there.
I've lost my thread now.
Sorry, sound fine.
Yeah, they're not playing out from the back so much, are they?
No.
Teams aren't playing such a risky kind of passing out from the back. They're more going for long kicks and stuff again now. So there could be a few more clean sheets, I think, but certainly not at the current rate. It's been ridiculous. I mean, it's almost running at double, I think, from the amount of clean sheets we'd normally expect. So, although I guess the promoted teams are a bit better defensively than normal, which could improve the amount of clean sheets we get, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of these DEF CON things, they're not actually DEF CON points, are they? I mean, they still would have been getting big hauls, these defenders, without the DEF CON points. And I don't think that's going to continue.
Yeah, Trig's right. It's all the clean sheets. I mean, there was 10 clean sheets from 20 teams on the weekend. I can't remember the last time that happened in the Premier League for a long time.
Yeah. Just say hello to a couple more people in the chat. Hi to Shane, who's on 72 points. Nice one, mate. Hi to Paul. Can't remember Paul. Hi to Animations. And hi to Chris Warburton. All right, we'll move on to my team. I think it's me next. So I am on a little bit better, but still not great. 62 points. I think I'm up to the dizzying heights of 6.8 million now, something like that in the world. Sells with 1, Poro with 6, Anderson, Trig. Anderson, our wonderful Anderson, who Darius doesn't quite like, do you, Darius? Anderson with 10, Cons with 6, Reinders with 3, Bruno Fernandes with 2, Salah with 18, Wirtz with 3, Evan Nilsson with 5, Gyökeres with 6, and Mateta with 2. And then annoyingly, to point out on my bench, Anderson, finally, after 3 weeks in a row of being one off getting a DEF CON points, he was a single DEF CON point each week from getting the 2 points bonus, and the week I bench him, decides he's going to go out and get some. So yeah, I didn't feel... I mean, to be honest, it's not really a horrible score, but it was just the Haaland. The Haaland just destroyed it, because I think I was actually on a semi-decent green arrow. And obviously Haaland being right at the end of the game week, it's like the last thing you think about, isn't it? It's like recency bias sort of thing. But I'll start by focusing on the positive in the team. Trig, you're a fellow Anderson owner. Pleased with those 10 points?
Yeah, very pleased. Against Leeds, I was kind of hoping for a clean sheet, really. Probably his best opportunity. Although we do have Brentford this week, but then it gets tough after that week.
Yeah.
It gets very tough fixtures coming up. But I mean, he'll get DEFCON points, so he's all right to stash on the bench.
Darius, you still going to tell us that Anderson is a poor pick? Can you still stick with that?
I'm telling you, and I said it last week, that this was probably their best chance, as Trig knows, for them to get a clean sheet because Leeds cannot attack. We've seen that for the first 4 games of the season. Brentford, sadly, Trig and Gary do know how to attack. Scoring goals for them has not been a problem. Trig can tell you that. They scored 2 against what I would argue was a much better defence in Chelsea on the last weekend. I don't think I have any issues going to Fulham and scoring. So Anderson will be back to his usual crap, conceding 1 or maybe even 2 goals this week, and he'll be back to his usual 2 to 3 points.
D-Unit's saying, trying to get me to wildcard again in the chat. Kieran, if this were your team, would you be looking at a wildcard? Because I did look at it. I did think about it briefly.
Do you know what I'm really bad at? I'm really bad at looking at plays on the screen without having their fixtures underneath it.
Yeah.
It's good or bad for a wild card. So, like, you've got decent players in there on paper, right? And I think we're still 4-game sample size in on a few of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like there's nothing in there where I'm going, you're an absolute idiot for having that player in there. But is there areas to gain by wildcard into what looks like a stronger team? Of course there is. Is it going to get you more points by doing it now than it would in a couple of weeks where there might be more fixture swings? God knows. If we knew the answers to that, I think we'd all be probably gambling instead of playing FPL.
Yeah, or winning FPL. That's what we'd be doing. All right, so I'll get on to my plans a bit later on, and what I have actually got a chip strategy now. We'll move on to Trig's team. So, see, one of the reasons I was quite pleased is Trig basically wildcarded into my front line, apart from he's got João Pedro instead of Evan Nilsson. So Trig is on 67 points. He got Sanchez on 2, Virgil on 8. Say his name for me, Trig, for Lacroix. I can't remember it. Someone said last week you say that in a very sexy way. Or maybe that was me. Anderson on 10, Verts on 3, Salah on 18, captain, Reinders on 3, Bruno Fernandes 2, Mateta 2, João Pedro 7, and Gyökeres 6. Pleased with this week, Trig?
Yeah, pretty pleased. Quite safely on board with a wildcard. After last season's wildcard, where I got 22 on my on my wildcard. So they're a double-edged sword, aren't they? So it's not looking too bad. Although I think I changed my keeper now on the grounds that after what Maresca was saying yesterday about Sanchez.
What's the score there, Trig? In terms of between the 2 keepers, like what exactly did he say for anyone who's not heard?
Oh, he said that Sanchez won't be able to play all the games and that Jorgensen will get league games, cup games, and all sorts of games. But I strongly suspect his first game will be against Lincoln. It won't be against Man United. So I'm going to play my bench boost this week. I could have played it. Oh, no, I couldn't play it last week, could I? Because I was on wildcard. But I'll be playing it this week if I get the opportunity. There's a slight injury doubt about Gyökeres, I think. But apparently he's fine. But that's all Arteta saying he's fine. So
he's got a cut on the back of his head, didn't he?
Never be sure. Hopefully he's got no concussion or anything.
Hopefully. I mean, he played on he got the wound in the first half and he played on to like 65 minutes. I mean, he'd have to come straight off if it was concussion, I would have thought. But
apparently he was struggling after his injury, though, like a little bit.
Yeah.
But we've still got to get through tonight's games yet before I can say I can use my bench boost. But you could have used yours actually last week, couldn't you? You would have got like 14 points.
No, I don't think I would have done. I would have
Oh, that's
got.
really great.
Oh yeah, I would have done. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd have been happy with that. I'd probably maybe this week. Kieran, I'll come to you, mate. Trig wildcard and kept Verts in. Verts. Every time I look at my team now, I just want to burn that part of the page out, the team out. You know what I mean? He's getting to that stage. Do you reckon people need to get off him if they've still got him?
I don't know. I'm still of the opinion that he starts next season closer to like 9.5 mil because I think he will acclimatise. He's good. He's looking better with each game. He's still nowhere near the player that we know he is. And I'll be honest, I was tempted to actually transfer him in as well this week because I had so little Liverpool. I opted for Cody Gakpo instead, which same outcome. Yeah. But it's a case where you're playing the 10 for Liverpool. They're one of the top goal scorers. You're going to be in the most central part of the pitch there. You should be feeding players. With someone like Isak who will make different runs to Ekatike, there's still the opportunity there. That I would have been similar to Trig. It's hard to have taken out Verts when he's got the fixture he had last week against Burnley. There's just no way you're transferring him out or moving him from your wildcard because one of the things we all hate, whether you wildcard or free hit, is seeing a player that you've just taken out scoring the points, particularly if they're playing Burnley. So unless it was like, here's my opportunity to switch Verts into Cody Gakpo, and at that point, is it even worth it? I see why he would have kept him.
He did have, it's more the fact that people weren't scoring from, he could have had a few assists, but like the other players weren't scoring his passes. And like he was one of the best players, I thought, for Liverpool last week. He'll probably go and score tonight in the Champions League, won't he? But
he will. That's his home ground, right? Like whenever I've had him in those format competitions, any of these shorter format ones, the guy is an absolute terror. And if you don't own him, then you might as well not play the games.
My mind goes back.
You never know. He might score against Everton, mightn't he?
My mind goes back nearly 30 years now. Do you remember when Dennis Bergkamp first signed for Arsenal? And he was pretty bad the first 6 or 7 weeks. And that didn't...
Longer than that, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't end up being too bad a transfer, did it? I mean, could we be seeing something similar here? Just an acclimatization thing? Darius,
we know it happens in the German league, right? I'll let Darius speak on it, but we just know it happens when you're coming from the Bundesliga. We've seen it with multitude of players. It goes back for ages, and sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. There's the Werners, there's Kai Havertz. It goes on that list. And ordinarily, if you remove that pressure from them, if I'm not mistaken, didn't De Bruyne come from there?
Right, yeah, he came from Wolfsburg or something, didn't he?
Yeah, so again, some of them, if you give them the time and don't just throw this pressure on, and it's hard for someone like Verts that's coming in with a stupid price tag. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's one of those players that's walking around going, I'm a £100 million player, so I need to perform like one. I think it just is complete overhaul in that Liverpool system. They didn't really change much last year. Like the only major change Klopp made in the tactics last year was get Salah to take on one player instead of 2, and he'll be a lot better. And that worked. And now he's actually brought these signings in. I think we're just going through that adaptation period with the new player as well.
Yeah. Be interested. Darius, you got any hope on Verts? I know you've never had him, actually, did you? You've never had him.
Nah, I luckily dodged that bullet. I went with Gakpo, who obviously has massively outscored him so far for the first 4 weeks. But I thought Gakpo the last couple of weeks, along with most of Liverpool's, been pretty average, to be honest. I watched that Burnley game, and I can tell you safely that Burnley will finish 20th. That's a matter of fact. The fact that Liverpool went there and struggled to score a goal and relied literally on a Hannibal arm being out of place in order to get the goal they needed. I don't know if that tells us more about Burnley or if it tells us more about how lucky Liverpool had been through the first 4 weeks. But I wouldn't have thought if they continue to play at that standard that they're going to be any good moving forward. I think they're 100% going to start dropping points. If they play like that against Everton, they're not scoring. Let's put it that way. All I will say on Trig's wildcard is he definitely bottled it, because the first team that I saw him show on his video, he had Haaland in, he had Verts out, he had all these players that weren't in there. And then all of a sudden, he's literally gone back to his Game Week 1 team, just bottled it. Completely.
I never had Haaland in any of them.
You should have, though. You should have. Trig had seen the first 3 games and could see that Haaland looked in so much. His form is night and day. If you compare Haaland to Salah at the moment, You know which one you want in your team and which one you don't. One has been exceptionally fortunate and lucky and has shown nothing really throughout most of the games. And the other one, as we saw in the Man United-Man City game, is everywhere. The dude even racked up 7 DC points in that game against Man United. He's so hungry for the ball. It's night and day which one you want at the moment. And I think the problem is that Trig's listened to too much FPL Harry and Let's Talk FPL and all this. And when Andy put in Salah instead of Haaland, Trig bottled it and thought, I've got to do the same.
Whoa. He pushed a button on the last day before deadline. I'd had my wildcard active for the whole 2 weeks with pretty much this team.
What did he wildcard?
So,
Let's Talk FPL Andy.
I don't know. He did well out of it, though, didn't he? He got about 78 points or something.
Someone, as experienced as him, pressing it at the last minute is quite a strange. Well, it's not strange, but it doesn't happen very often, does it? Right,
I don't know what changed. I don't think anything changed, did it? There weren't any new injuries or anything. So it was a bit weird because he missed out on a few price rises and stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, KB saying that Scatty scored 87 this week. 300,000 in the world with Verts dropped him for Semenyo. I think that's going to be, well, it was quite a popular move last week. I think it's going to be an even more popular move this week. So let's move on to top of the pile, who is Kieran. Basically, anyone who comes on the Pubcast who's not a regular host is top of the pile every week. Kieran's on 68 points. So Petkovic in goal with 2. Interesting formation here, 5-4-1. Milenkovic, Lacroix, however you say it, Decopia, Virgil and Munoz at the back with 1, 6, 1, 8 and 5 points. Sorry, I should have said that. Gapco with 3, Semenyo with 13, Fernandez with 2, Jorginho Rota with 1, and then big Erling Haaland up front, captain 26. Kieran, are you happy with this? Trig, before I ask Kieran, where are you in the world, mate? Just saw. I need to start remembering to put these on the.
About 2 million, I think.
2 million. So Kieran, how are you? How's your season going, mate? And were you happy with your game week? You're on mute, mate.
Always fun. This is a team on absolute live support. When you're asking about the formation, have a look at the bench. And
you got Saka. I'll read it. I'll just read it out for anyone listening. Saka, who's obviously injured, Gui, whatever your name, 0, and then Fulkrug with 0. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, it's one of those where, how's my season gone? I'll tell you how it went. I started with Semenyo. So, yeah, great game against Liverpool. First on my bench. I've had Lacroix and Munoz, and, for anyone that watches the double pivot or follows me on X, they would have seen me just screaming fizzy water non-stop pre-season and the whole way through the season. If they've ever wondered why, it's because Lacroix is a brand of delicious...
right. I was wondering that.
So that's why my team name is actually Fizzy Water as well. I'm all in on the boy. But look, there were more moves I wanted to make. I probably, upon reflection, would have wildcarded, because the team that I was telling Shane to do, as an example, would have had Anderson in there, would have had a lot more sorted out. But it was one where I looked at it and went, I think I can survive. I think I can get through this week. And I think, hopefully, Saka's back sooner rather than later. I don't like having Jorginho Rutter in my team. I don't like having De Kuyper in my team. I don't like having Milenkovic in my team. But in reality, I don't hate this formation. I can see myself going 5-4-1 for a number of weeks moving forward. And I know to a lot of football purists, they absolutely hate that. And I do as well. I don't want to be watching a game hoping for clean sheets and DEFCON. But at the same time, I can't tell you who's worth 8 million that's going to get me an attack and return every week. And I kind of like points. So, look, it's one where, as crap as half the team is, it still did pretty well. And I think that's just the thing that I'm taking forward, that just don't panic into the wild card. The other reason why I didn't wildcard is because I didn't do it in the first week like Trig did. And I then became sort of bitter going, well, I've missed out on price rises and I'm stubborn and therefore don't double down and then get people for more expensive, which doesn't make too much sense, really.
No. Any idea when? Does anyone have any idea when Saka's back? It's not this week, is it? Is it going week?
I was given information that he's been doing individual training, so I actually had him in my starting 11 just in case. That information doesn't look like it's remotely reliable, and it's someone who gave me reliable stuff in the past. So I think he's actually just guessed and got it right once and got it wrong once. I think there's no rush to bring Saka back into it, though, right? Like, if he's not fit enough to start Man City, then he won't be rushed into the Man City game because Madueke's offered something completely different down on that side. And there's arguments that against someone like if Ait Nouri is playing or whether he's injured or whatever it is. But again, City are quite vulnerable on their fullbacks. So, yeah, look, he probably isn't going to be rushed back into it. Definitely not going to play the League Cup game midweek, right? So he's going to have like probably another week and a half off and maybe start on the weekend or maybe save for the Champions League game.
And where are you in the world, Kieran? Sorry, you might have said, but
I don't know, to be honest. I haven't looked at it, but I'd say sort of average at best, probably around 3 million because I look at work leagues, and in work leagues, you kind of get people that are dads who are doing really well because they've got the old school players like Pickford, Grealish, and the likes of Tarkowski, and somehow like that's just working this season, almost like a Brexit team. And then people that I think are pretty decent that are below me. So like, yeah, I can check on my phone, but it's got the Olympiacos game on. But I'd probably guess sort of between 2.5 and 3.5 mil, give or take. Nothing special, nothing worth crying about either.
Darius, you having a heart attack here looking at a 5 at the back drafts. You didn't seem too keen last week.
I mean, other than the Kuiper, that's actually not a bad back 5, I'm not going to lie. I think, as I said before, it just comes down to the fact there's been so many more clean sheets this year. Like, the football on the weekend was boring football. Like, I watched most of it. I went to watch on Saturday of 5 games that produced 5 goals from 5 games. Like, that is not in football I enjoy. Bring back the Premier League of last year where there were a lot more goals. Those streams are so much more enjoyable because you were getting like 20-plus goals in a stream. I'd rather 20-plus goals than 5. And I think at some point, I don't know if it's teams have learned how to defend or if teams have just been crap this season and just haven't been able to score goals. I mean, Villa is the biggest case in point. They are 19th they're dead last for expected goals. And who would have thought that moving into the season with the run of fixtures they had? That there needs to be an investigation what's going on, because I can't believe that Villa team has gone from finishing almost in the top 5 to being barely able to score a goal. Well, they haven't been able to score a goal like that. I just don't get it. It's like some teams just haven't shown up this year, or they've forgotten how to play football, one of the two.
Nick, what do you reckon to Kieran's team here? Would you have kept Saka? It's a lot of money to have on the bench, isn't it? I mean, even this week, it's a lot of money if he's still red flagged at the start of the game week.
He's showing a lot of patience. I would have wildcarded that a week or two ago with Fulkrook and you and Kuiper and Saka.
I just want to ask Kieran, are you an Arsenal supporter, mate, of any chance?
We'll give it away the Arsenal show.
Oh, there we go. That might be a bit of the bias then. Sorry, Trig, I didn't mean to.
I don't think Saka's going to be worth it anyway, even when he's back, because he's not on penalties. He's got competition from Madueke. His injury record in the last 6 months or so has been pretty bad, and I think he's going to be managed, especially now Madueke's there. So, yeah, I just don't. I mean, he's 10 million. I just don't think he's worth it. I've got to get Palmer back in instead, I think.
It's an interesting one, though, right? Because my counter to that would be last season Arsenal had 3 penalties, and 2 of them were won by Saka. So no one got the assist points, right? But he would have got those. So those 15 points would have been 6. So that's a loss of 9. But he's now got a striker who can put away his crosses. He's got probably a greater chance of penalties. Like I see the losing of the penalties negligible, to be honest. And I think the gain of a striker who hopefully can, like the goals Gyökeres have scored have been like striker finishes, right? Rather than anything special, they've just been striker finishes, which is kind of what Arsenal have been missing. I do agree he'll see a bit more rotation, but I think there's arguments that we'll just play Madueke in all the Champions League and Cup games and let Saka have the league. And then when we get into the knockout stages, flip that around. So I think it's more a like post-Christmas thing where Saka will see his minutes managed in the Prem to prioritise Champions League. But I think at the start of it, probably prioritise Prem over Champions League. So he has a lot of money to leave on there. I do agree with you. Like if I'd wildcarded, there's no way he'd be in my team at all. And I probably would have made the switch to Gyökeres instead. But at the same point, like, we're all going to be on 3 Arsenal, I think, by like game week 7, game week 8, and probably double Arsenal defence. And therefore, it's not worth, unless I'm wildcarding, take him out to replace him with Gokares if he's going to be back fit in, like, let's say, 2 game weeks' time when the fixture swing.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to our little section this week. So this section, before we get onto the fixtures, this came to me when I was thinking about wildcarding on Sunday. And, you know, when you do wildcard, you know, you think, I need this person, I need this person, I need this person. So I know George Gavin's saying in the chat there, of course, nobody is essential, but nevertheless, and obviously nobody is essential, I've called this little section Essential or Not, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to present us with the 7 players that I looked at, and, you know, maybe this will help if people are on wildcard with their transfers, and I'm going to ask us to give a rating from 10 to 0 in terms of how essential they are, right? With 10 being, yes, they actually are essential. 5 being, you know, the middle sort of score. Yeah, they're fine. I'd have them in my team. And 0 being, they shouldn't be any. Not only are they not essential, they should be nowhere near your team, right? So I'm going to ask the guys to. Well, I'll ask each one of you to rank each player, and then I'll ask if there's any disagreement amongst us. That sort of makes sense, lads. All right, so we'll go to the first one, who obviously is the reason that I almost wildcarded, and, you know, is the big talk this week, or is obviously Haaland. So I've also put their next 6 fixtures in there. So Haaland, his next 6 fixtures, difficult this weekend with Arsenal, but then Burnley at home, Brentford away, Everton at home, Villa away, which isn't looking that difficult at the minute, and then Bournemouth at home. So I'll come to you as our guests for our first rating, Kieran. What would you give Haaland on an essentialness ranking of 0 to 10, and why?
I think this week you could possibly argue like a 7 or an 8, but I think from next week he becomes a 10. Right. And, you know, look, the guy's always started seasons hot. Last 8 years in different clubs, this is his worst start to the season in the last 9 years. So if you think he's done well to start the season, in all of the leagues he's played in, this is the fewest amount of attacking returns he's had through the first 4 game weeks. So the guy starts hot. He's got Burnley, Brentford, Everton, Villa, and Bournemouth. And let's be honest, like, if Liverpool can put 3 past Bournemouth, then City, even Haaland against Arsenal, like, I still have nightmares about the game where he took his hair down against us and bullied our entire team. And his locks were just flowing behind him as he put in goal after goal after goal and told our players exactly where they stood. And that was painful. I also remember what we then did to them in the return game, where we absolutely battered them and Miles Skelly tore them apart. But yeah, to go just back to your thing, I think this week maybe a 7.5, but from next week he becomes like a 9 or a 10.
Nick, do you agree with that, man?
This week, no more than a 5. But I think game week 6 is essential, pretty much. Very, very risky not to have him in game week 6. But other than that, I'd give him an 8 or a 7.
Darius?
I think he's more essential than Salah. I thought he was last week with the fixture, even though in theory Salah had the easiest fixture. I just knew that Haaland was going to outscore him quite comfortably. And I think he's more essential than Salah again this week. I know that he's playing Arsenal, but we only have to remember that Haaland's had history against Arsenal before. He's not scared of scoring past them, and he's not afraid of telling Arteta to be humble as well. And I dare say, with the mood that I saw on Sunday night against Man United, this is a man you do not want to be playing, because if he gets any kind of a chance, he's scoring goals. He only need one chance against that Arsenal defense, and he'll put it away, and all of a sudden he'll be on 9 points. I think he's a 10 this week. He's a 10 moving forward. He is the best forward in the game by a country mile this season. Yep. Like, he's the most essential forward. If you're going to play 5 at the back, you only need one forward. It needs to be Erling Haaland. That's it. It's plain and simple.
And we've got some ratings in the chat. Kevin going 8, Com going 9, Sparta going 8, then 9, and then I am 1974 going 13. So next man, right? So this one I think is more based on his form so far this season than necessarily his fixtures. This is João Pedro. So his next 6 are Man United away, Brighton at home, Liverpool at home, Nottingham Forest away, really nice fixture, Sunderland at home, and then Spurs away. I'll come to you, Trig, as our resident Chelsea fan. How essential, if at all, is Haaland for you? Sorry,
Haaland, not at all.
Sorry,
Haaland's no João Pedro, but I think João Pedro's only a few points behind Haaland, and he's half the price, and yet still people are ignoring him. But I mean, he's actually very heavily owned now, isn't he? He went up again in price last night. I think he's pretty essential in the fact that for his price. I mean, I can't understand why people don't have him, especially while Delap's out. Because Gui's not very good. And even when he told Maresca he didn't want to play last week, he was still made to play. So
what's your rating?
Very good, isn't he? Very good. I'm going to give him trying to rush me again. Look. Mind you, I've got to go at 7 o'clock. Right. I'll say an 8, actually, because I don't think anyone's truly essential. So I'll give him an 8.
Yeah, I would actually say he would be more of a reason for me to a wildcard than Haaland, because Haaland I would prioritise a transfer to get in, whereas Pedro's not one I'm probably going to spend going Evan Nielsen to Pedro's not really a massive transfer option. So, Darius, what would you give? Would you agree with Trig?
No, I think I'm legitimately shocked that 2 in every 3 managers owns João Pedro, and the reason why is because the dude's injury record is horrendous. It's inevitable if he's the only forward and he's getting played every game. He already complained about having to play against Brentford. I'm telling you, this dude has not got 100% fitness capacity. He will definitely do some sort of an injury, and then he'll be a problem in your team. So for me, I think João Pedro, of all the players, I sit there and I looked at wildcarding this week and I was like going, I don't actually have any interest in owning João Pedro. Not with Maresca. If it was not Maresca, if it was like a slot or something like that, I'd probably be a bit more interested. But it's inevitable at some point he's just going to get benched because Maresca does some stupid stuff, and Trig will know. We saw Cucurella benched on the weekend, and who expected that? So for me, as I said, I think there's Maresca with that to worry about, and I also think he's going to get injured at some point, and then he'll be out. So I think I'm just going to dodge the bullet. I've missed the points anyway, and I think there's better options moving forward.
Kieran? Brief thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, look, the guy's 20th for XG. He scored 2 goals. His XG is 1.3. Like, Muniz, Watkins, Welbeck, Ekatike, Thiago, Sade, Beto, Mateta, Gokares, Haaland all have better XG than him. The fixtures have gone now. The guy got 3 assists, right? If he was still down as a midfielder when he was at Brighton, absolutely fantastic pick still moving forward. But if you're getting more assists than you're getting goals, leading the line for Chelsea, and now you've got harder fixtures coming up, you don't appeal to me. You've missed the boat if you didn't have him. Maybe reconsider him for sort of Sunderland moving forward. But for the time being, like, if I was making a striker transfer, it probably wouldn't be him. If anything, instead of getting a striker, I'd probably get a defender or midfielder at this point with that money.
So we got 6 from John.
I'll go with 6 as well.
Yeah, 6.5
for me.
From Tom. 7. No, just from the chat. 7 from Kenny. Go with Jovis Robinson with an 8. Paul with a 6. So yeah, not as high as Haaland. All right, let's go on to the next one. And I would say,
for me though, the fact that he's outperforming his XG shows that he's actually very good, rather than the fact that all those other players should have had more points than him. None of those players play for the world champions, do they? You look at other than Haaland, they're
European competitions mean nothing. This is an FPL thing. Let's never talk about Europe. As an Arsenal fan, let's forget about Europe. It's not important. We're just England. That's it. Like, no Europe. Okay, let's keep it focused.
He has to get it in every week. The Chelsea are club champions. So next,
and trust me, when we win a European trophy, I will never shut up.
We're going to have to wait a long time.
So the next one, who I would probably say is the closest to essential, at least so far this season. So Semenyo, of course, who I might bring in this week. Decent fixtures: Bournemouth, home to Newcastle, away to Leeds, home to Fulham, away to Crystal Palace, at home to Nottingham Forest, which is not looking quite as difficult to fixture this season, and then away to Man City. Darius, I'll come first to you with this one, mate. Semenyo, essential and a rating, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think he's pretty essential. I'd almost go as close to say he's very close to a 10. If there's one player I wished that I'd owned from the start of the season, and I did consider him, I just thought that he was a bit of a weird price point at 7 mil, and I was like, surely he can't be as good as he was last year, but he's been even better. And the thing that I like about him now is there's no European football for Bournemouth. So you don't have to worry about rotation. He literally is someone that will play every single week unless he's injured, and he's going to play 90 minutes every single week as well. So as I said, if I do make a transfer this week, it's probably going to be Cunha to Semenyo. If it was the Leeds fixture this week, I would have already made the transfer. But because it's Newcastle and their defence has been really good to start the season, I kind of want to see how Newcastle go against Barcelona before I decide about what I want to do with bringing in Semenyo this week. But he will definitely be in my team, and he'll be a set and forget once he is. So I think he is very close to a 10.
Trig, can I take you back 10 days ago in the FPL lock-in where I titled the lock-in No Semenyo and tried to convince you to get him in your wildcard because you'd taken him out? How much are you regretting that, Trig? And what essential rating this would you give to Semenyo?
Well, I'm only regretting it because he got points. We had no idea he was going to be on penalties, let's face it. Yeah, the week that everybody gets him in, he gets the first penalty he's ever had in his life. So I'll give him a 7. I think he's going through a hot streak. I can see why people are getting him. Every YouTube video you look at has got a picture of him on it. And he's this week's must-have, isn't he? But we know with FPL in a few weeks, it'll be somebody else. So I might well get him at some stage, but I'm certainly not ripping up my team to bring him in.
What's your thoughts, Kieran? I mean, he did go through these phases last year where he'd be brilliant for 4 or 5 weeks and then he'd go completely off of it. Do you reckon he's a man reformed, or do you reckon we're just...
Yeah, no, for me, he's massively reformed, right? Last season, he was a high volume shot taker with low XG per shot, right? And I think that's one of the things, you could watch it when you were seeing it on the screen. He's a guy who loves to take a shot from pretty much anywhere. And he was taking more shots than pretty much anyone last season. This year, only Haaland's taken more shots than him. And there's only 3 or 4 players that have taken multiple shots that have a higher XG per shot. He's tracking at 0.3. So that means there's a 30% chance of his shot going in from where he's taken him from. And he's had 12 shots. So for me, it is that change in what he's been doing. Now, that's helped by him breaking away one-on-one against goalkeepers and starting away a penalty, which we know is high XG as well. So therefore kind of balances all of that. But it looks as if it's something he's worked on in training, where he now is taking a shot from a better position, taking an extra touch and getting closer to goal to increase his chance of scoring. And that's just more from the eye test stuff rather than looking at the data, that I've just been more impressed by his decision-making. I think he's still outrageously selfish. I think he could have more points if he bothered to pass the ball a couple of times, because he'll still shoot from stupid angles, particularly if he's already scored a goal. He then kind of thinks he's invincible. But yeah, for me, he's someone who, at that price point, he's going to outperform a lot of strikers, and he's going to get more goals than more points for goals than strikers will. And Bournemouth are decent defensively. And with those fixtures, he's got a good chance of a couple of clean sheets in there as well. So I think he's one where you probably want him for Leeds and Fulham if you don't have him. And one of those situations where in the world where not many midfielders are doing anything good that cost money, he's probably the best expensive or mid-expensive bracket player there. So I put him at an 8.
Yeah, most people in the chat give it an 8 or a 9. Do a bit of a cheeky joke. Whoever this company is on the front of their shirt, BJ88, I think they should rename it to BJ69. I mean, that would be the perfect company name, surely. Let's move on to Virgil van
Dijk. Wilson Andy North.
Let's move on to Virgil van Dijk. I couldn't get his sixes, so I had to make my own little chart up here. The Virgil van Dijk, very popular on Wildcard last week. Everton at home, Crystal Palace away, Chelsea away, Manchester United at home, Brentford away, and then Villa at home. Trig, I'll come to you with this one, mate, because you got him in on your wildcard, didn't you? How essential is he? And I'm also going to hand over to you, Trig, to pass this one around while I go and powder my nose quickly.
I don't think he's essential as such. I mean, I was tossing up between bringing him in and getting Gabriel in, and there's a chance I actually switch from Virgil van Dijk to Gabriel in like 2 or 3 weeks' time. But I think he's pretty decent. I think he's getting a bit old, a bit like Salah. I think he's a bit past his best. But he's certainly improved from the first couple of games of the season. But I'm still not totally convinced by Liverpool's defence. And part of the reason I got him was for attacking returns, for hoping to get a header against Burnley. And he didn't get one of those. But he's pretty useful. He's got attacking returns, defensive contribution points. You'll probably get those in the tougher games coming up. But yeah, he's good. He's certainly a reasonable for the money, I think. Darius disagree. You can have yours. I'll give him a 7. What do you reckon, Darius?
He's a 1. I don't actually think he's worth anywhere near his money value at all. Liverpool, obviously, I think have been quite lucky the last couple of weeks. They haven't conceded. And I look at the fixtures coming up. I don't really see any clean sheets. And I don't believe in any attacking returns for Van Dijk. I think he's dropped off a cliff in terms of his attacking potential over the last 3 to 4 seasons. I don't know if that's because he's getting older or the set-piece delivery hasn't been as good for Liverpool. But, I mean, their best chance of a clean sheet in the next 6 is probably this week. I don't see them keeping a clean sheet away at Palace. I don't see them keeping a clean sheet away at Chelsea. I think Man United will probably score. Brentford away, they've already shown at home they've scored in every game. They put 2 past Chelsea, and I mean Aston Villa they'll probably keep a clean sheet but then Emery could be gone by the time Aston Villa roll up, and they're probably scoring goals again. So yeah, I just don't think Liverpool's defense for all that. I don't think clean sheets are going to be a Liverpool thing this season like they were last year, and I just think that I don't really rate spending up 6 million for a bloke that has no attacking threat and potentially doesn't have that much clean sheet potential. Seems like there's much better options. Like I look at Kieran's team with the double Palace defense. Like Palace have shown they can keep clean sheets, and those guys rack up the DC points, and they're like Lacroix is 1 million cheaper. Why would you spend up an extra million for some bloke that does something that's worse than what Lacroix does? It doesn't make much sense to me.
Well, I do have both, but I think Emery will be going to Man United, won't he, by then?
Oh, you never know. Maybe that's the play, Trig. Who knows?
Yeah, the chat aren't liking this one. Spot with a 7, Podner with a 4, Kill 22 with a 3. Yeah, okay. Should we move on to the next one? We've got 2 more defensive assets.
You've been brave ignoring me on that one, by the way, Gary. Because,
sorry, Kieran, I wasn't here, so I didn't know you'd spoken.
No, all good. But like, I'm the opposite. I'm completely the opposite. Look, if we went through these fixtures, right, and let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 fixtures, right? Let's just say there's 2 clean sheets in there, which I think is fair. Liverpool batting at 33% is probably fair for clean sheets, given those fixtures. Brentford, Villa, Everton, Palace, maybe like 3 out of those. That's 8 points for him, and he's getting 4 points in the rest of them, right? And if he did that without scoring, that's 32 points. That's 5.5 points a game for him. Like, you're not getting that from any attacker at 6 mil. So for me, Van Dijk's set and forget. Like on a wildcard, Van Dijk is 100% in the team and locked. Like for me, I think the benefit of this season with DEFCON is you just lock in Lacroix, Van Dijk, Senesi. You get Munoz for your upside, and you throw in another like DEFCON monster like Van der Berg, and then you just use all your transfers on attackers. Fuck using transfers on defenders. Let's have fun and just use transfers for attackers. So for me, like Van Dijk is you never have to worry about him. He got a clean sheet against Arsenal, which is arguably one of the hardest games you're going to face. And yeah, I'd put him at like a 9 or a 10, just full stop any game week.
Interesting.
Why would you not just invest in Tarkowski then, who's cheaper and has actually racked up the DC points in every single game compared to
He'd be my 5th one. Like you can afford them, right? Like these premium midfielders and additional strikers are all crap and not worth their money. Like for 6 mil, you're not going to get a midfielder or a striker that's going to score you 150, 180 points this season.
Gabriel's the only fly in the ointment because I think we're going to want an Arsenal defender as well. Look, I've set up my wild card to just have those 5 DEFCONs. I've got Anderson, Lacroix, Senesi, and Virgil.
I think it's
and
Raya, though,
somebody
right?
else. I think Rodon.
But this makes Raya the best Arsenal asset, though, right? Like, he's the cheapest guaranteed minutes in the Arsenal defence. I know it's painful to say it, but like 5.5 mil and you're getting the most clean sheets in the Prem this year, or you pay 0.5 mil more to not get DEFCON and hope you get the goal.
Yeah, but you're not getting anything else with Raya, are you? You're just getting 6 points. I mean, he's not going to get bonus. He's not going to get saves.
No, he'll never get that. But like, the defenders are never getting DEFCON.
No, but Gabriel gets a load of bonuses, and
he gets bonus.
Goals.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think Arsenal and Gabriel are probably the only exceptions to the DEFCON narrative this year, unfortunately. And I don't agree with it. I think it does make the game worse to not have exciting wing backs. But I think it's just one of those where if you know you're locking in 4 points, unfortunately, as much as that sucks, if that's the floor, that's pretty awesome.
Actually, once I've used my bench boost, I might look at upgrading Rodon to Gabriel. And then I've got a really strong defence. It depends on Palmer. I think if we decide we don't need Palmer or Saka, then it becomes much easier to go to a back 5.
I'm looking at the reactions as we speak, Trig, and we're definitely the only two thinking on this. So we'll let Gary move on to the next player.
So this is a player who would definitely be on my wild card. Didn't even know who he was, to be honest, till he moved to Bournemouth. That's Senesi, of course, who's just 4.6. Is he still 4.6? So his next 6 are so obviously here we're factoring into that he is so cheap. Bournemouth are home to Newcastle, away to Leeds, home to Fulham, away to Crystal Palace, home to Nottingham Forest, and then same Senesi, of course, away to Man City. I mean, Kieran, surely he fits in brilliantly. I mean, I watched Let's Talk FPL Andy earlier, and he was saying how few attacking defenders there are this season. Surely he fits in brilliantly to this strategy you were just alluding to.
Yeah, he's the one. If you don't want to spend 6 mil on Van Dijk, he is the no-brainer. Where you can just play him every week. He's got decent-ish attacking threats. I think that's the key thing that I'll just iterate on my stance on DEFCON. I don't like it, but every DEFCON player I opt for is one that is the target man from set pieces. And Senesi is that as well. So it's looking for that. Like, do you still have some attacking threat? Could you still nick me 2 or 3 goals across the season from a set piece? And you play for a team that takes pretty decent set pieces. And yeah, like you said, Senesi's got decent fixtures. He's cheap as chips. If you're looking to sack off one of your Forest players in defence, then he is the logical player to go to, because then you've got money where if you don't want to go the DEFCON route, cool, you've got an extra mil now to play around with your attack instead. So yeah, I'd put him at like one of the more favourable transfers if you've got 2 moves, right? But again, I think defensive transfers are just crap, to be honest. So it would only be if you're shifting off a Forest player.
Stick with our theme. What's Sentinel's rating, Kieran?
Senesi, long term, he'd be... Senesi, I think, is one of the most essential defenders going forward at that price point. Yeah. Like, I'd put him at a 10 just at that price point. He's probably going to be my move this week, as much as I hate the fixture, but I don't like Milenkovic anymore.
Yeah, to give a surprise, he may well be mine as well. Darius, you were pushing for me to get him in last week. So for Murillo, actually, you said I could bring in for Murillo, which may be my answer this week. So I'm guessing you're giving him a 10?
Well, I bought him in myself last week and it got rid of the Kuiper and bought in Senesi. I was obviously disappointed they conceded, which was a really low XG chance for Brighton, but it is what it is. But yeah, I've like his last full season in the Premier League, he got 9 attacking returns. So Trig's talking about Gabriel, who averages about half that a season.
So that's got 9 attacking returns.
1.5 more. And as I said before, this is why I like Senesi over Anderson, because Bournemouth actually will keep clean sheets, whereas Fulham will not. And Anderson has no attacking threat. Senesi has attacking threat. So when you compare him like that, it's a bit of a no-brainer. At 4.6 mil, he's probably the best defender per million in the game.
Mm-hmm. Greg, any thoughts briefly before we go into our last one?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, I think they mispriced him. I don't know why he wasn't 5 million to start off with. But especially when Huijsen left. because the Bournemouth defence were just racking up those defensive contributions last season as well. So it's not going to stop. And he was one of the reasons I wildcarded. People were saying we didn't have enough information, but I think we knew by last week who these defensive contribution players were going to be. And he's superb value. I mean, he's not going to go up much, is he? So there's no rush to bring him in.
Yeah, not
but fixtures aren't fantastic, are they? Which is why I'm a bit lower on Semenyo than some people are. But especially when they're playing the mighty Fulham. So I give him a 7.
Okay. All right, let's move on to our last one, which is not actually the person voted, right? So this is really a Spurs defender. Could be Porro at 5.5, could be Romero at 5, or Van de Ven. Basically a Spurs defender based on what their fixtures are. So we've got their next 6 are Brighton away, Wolves at home, Leeds away, Villa at home, Everton away, Chelsea at home. Darius, I know you're a big Spurs fan. Shall I come to you first? How essential is a Spurs defender going forward?
This weekend, probably not that essential, but from next weekend onwards, for the next 5 or so weeks, probably pretty essential.
You're saying something nice about Spurs. Oh my God.
Well, from what I can see, they actually, I'm not sure if it's luck. I'm still very non-sold on it. I've been burnt by Spurs players, and I feel like I'm going to bring one in, they're going to do nothing. So I feel I'm still traumatized, but I'd probably be able to sneak one defender in. And I look at him, I'm like going, who's the least injury prone of that back line? Because realistically, I'd like the cheapest one, which would be Van de Ven, who's now 4.7. But I still feel like Mickey Van de Ven's left hamstring is ready to snap at any given time. So I can't sit there and justify. I feel like Romero is probably the pick, because I think that potentially when Spurs do play better teams, Romero will be the one that gets the DC points, judging from what looks to be the case. But I'm still scared about that injury record. They're playing more games now with Europe starting up, and I'm just scared that as soon as I bring in a Spurs asset, they're just going to get injured and they're going to be done. So that's the only thing stopping me from doing it. However, I do think from next week onwards, I can see an easy clean sheet against Wolves. I can see a clean sheet against Leeds. Against Villa, if they continue this form, that'll be a clean sheet. Then it's Everton, and probably potentially could be another clean sheet there. I mean, the clean sheet potential is why I want Spurs assets, because they haven't really been getting the DC points. But I just think that their clean sheet potential is very high the next 6 weeks.
Kieran, I'll come to you as the obviously want the Spurs to do amazingly as you're an Arsenal fan. What do you reckon? By the way, I've started a poll. I can only fit 4 in. Do let us know who you think the most essential is in the poll. Kieran, what's your thoughts on Spurs defenders, mate?
I hate the fact they have Thomas Frank, because I like Thomas Frank so much as a manager. It's so painful. Although one thing, and I was saying this last year about it, one of the things I love about Thomas Frank is I've been a long time advocate for the fact that draws are the most stupid, bloody thing in football. And people who accept a draw from a manager perspective, they're just idiots, right? Because you're gaining 1 point, risk your 1 point to gain 2 more. You've only got to convert it 1 in 3 times to make it worthwhile. And what you actually find on the studies are you're going to draw it still half the time, you're going to win it about 35% of the time, and you're going to lose it 15% of the time. So risk it. And last year, Thomas Frank gave an interview and he said exactly that. And I went, I really like you. And then he joined Spurs. And this is where my dilemma is, because I hate Spurs. I like Thomas Frank. What I will say on it is Tottenham aren't going to draw a game 0-0 this season. So there's that to take away from it, where they're more likely to concede than they are to draw 0-0. But looking at those fixtures, again, I threw slander at people picking Spurs defenders because the models told them to, and I thought it was the wrong time. I'm not going to own any of them because I'm stubborn and biased, but they're good. They are good. Like people who own them, even in the Champions League, I had Van de Ven in my UCL fantasy team, And I looked at it for a while and went, no, I don't like that. I almost put in Kevin McAllister, by the way. Just a little joke here, and I put this on Twitter. And the reason why is because all my players were playing at home, and I wanted to have Kevin McAllister away alone, just for the meme potential. But, yeah, the Spurs defenders are good. They're probably... It depends who you pick, right? Because I agree with what's been said by Darius. Like, Van der Ven's injury prone, but he's cheap. Porro's good, but he's probably going to get rotated, and so is Jed Spence. And like Jed Spence is probably being the best one to go for, but is he going to hold that down over Udogie? Is it going to be Porro who makes way for Udogie? So it does make Romero the best. And at 5 mil, he probably won't get the DEFCON, but he probably will get the clean sheets. So maybe Spurs are moving into that Gabriel scenario with Porro. So let's just throw them out as 7.
Yeah, Andrew and Claire are both giving their opinions, and they all go Van der Ven first, Romero second, Porro third, in terms of the order we should have them in. Would you agree with that, Trig?
I'd go Romero. No, I'd go Van der Ven, Romero, and Pedro Porro. I think Porro's the worst of the 3. But
because of price?
Yeah, because of price and rotation risk, and he's kind of lost his set pieces and everything. And I don't even think he's the most attacking now that he's not on set pieces.
Amazing.
But Van der Ven, when I had him before the season started, everyone told me to get rid of him. He all told me he was going to be injured and his hamstring. I think Darius told me that within 1 week his hamstring would have gone.
We all know what listening to Darius how much that helps this season, don't we, Trig?
Yeah, exactly.
His hamstring would have gone, but not in a Frank system. That's the only thing I say. Like, Frank plays way deeper than Ange does. So, like, those desperate runs back to try and save it are going to be less frequent than under an Ange system.
I do think they've been quite lucky, though. I do think they've been quite lucky with their clean sheets. And I think Europe's going to catch up on them. So I think these next few weeks are quite important. I can't see them keeping up all these clean sheets, to be honest. But again, they have got a good manager. And I was very, very close to starting with the goalkeeper this season, just because I thought that he'd be this season's Flecken and get lots of save points. But I didn't expect all these clean sheets. But yeah, they've turned out better than I expected. I quite like them. Simmons I'm interested in more than the defenders.
Yeah, I quite like Simmons. Okay, let's push on because we've only got 15 minutes left before your beloved Chelsea kickoff, Trig.
Oh, the team lineup's out, by the way. Bench Esteval. I was sure Esteval was going to play today, and he's only on the bench. He's in my fantasy Euro team.
Garnacho?
They've got a very they've picked a very strong team. They haven't got Garnacho in it.
Let's go on to
pretty much best 11.
Shade thrown on Garnacho there. They picked a strong team, not Garnacho.
Exactly.
All right,
why'd they sign him then?
Let's move on to our predictions.
Because he's an attacking wide player, and that's what Chelsea sign. No matter who they are, if they're available, let's sign them.
I'll give the crowd a little bit longer to vote on who's the most essential. Do let us know in the poll. It's Haaland, Semenyo, Senesi, or a Spurs defender. Currently, Haaland well ahead in the polls. So this weekend, Darius, I'll come to you first, mate. As a non-Salah owner, what do you think he's done? I knew he'd do it at some point. He's closed the browser, hasn't he? Salah versus Everton. Sorry, Salah versus it. Liverpool versus Everton. What's your prediction for this one, man?
Everton got to cause a boil over at 12:30 p.m. I reckon.
You reckon?
1-0. 1-0 to Everton.
To Everton.
I was actually pretty close. I said 1-0 to Burnley on the weekend. And I tell you what, it wasn't far off. It was not far off. So I'm going to go this week. Liverpool's luck's got to run out at some point, and this is the week for it. Everton going to shock them in the Merseyside derby 1-0. Moyes are going to be crowing like an old man that is.
Okay. Kieran, sorry for making you do Spurs again. I was going to throw this one at Trig, but until he arrives again. Brighton versus Spurs. What would your prediction be for this one, man?
I wish it was an Ange Spurs team because then I'd be saying Brighton win and they both attack each other. But I don't see that happening, unfortunately. And I think Brighton just look kind of disjointed with the issues going around with Belieber's mentality. Like there was so much around it that his head's just not in the game right now. And Brighton not having him is so detrimental to the fluidity in strength of their squad. And I think like Thomas Frank's just smart enough to exploit that. I think Belieber plays, but he won't be amazing. Or he could. Head v heart, we'll go with the logic and we'll go with a 2-1 Spurs.
Trig, welcome back. You finally did it during the stream, didn't you, mate?
That was the cat. The cat pulled the...
Oh, the cat. Of course it was a cat. Of course it was a cat. Trig, Burnley versus Nottingham Forest. I've got potentially 3 Nottingham Forest starting this week if Murillo's playing. What do you reckon for this one, mate?
I think it's going to be pretty tight. As long as Burnley are not too upset by conceding against Liverpool. If they play as well as they did against Liverpool, I can see them winning this match. I don't agree with Darius in that they're the 20th place team. I think Burnley have got something about them. They've got some decent attackers in there too. Anthony looks pretty good, and a few others. So they're a proper team as well. That's the thing. I mean, individually they might not be brilliant, but at least they play as a team. And Forest, I think Chris Wood's on the down slope, and I wouldn't be surprised if Burnley keep a clean sheet. And this is why I want to play my bench boost this week.
Yeah, that's the other thing I'm thinking, yeah.
The other thing, sorry, just before we move on that, like I think it is worth highlighting that Liverpool game was the first home defeat Burnley have had in like 27, 28 games. Wow. I know we're talking about the championship, but that like they are very, very strong at home. Again, their only other home fixture, I think, in the Prem was Sunderland, who are essentially a championship colleague. But I would agree with Trig that not a bad fixture for them.
We'll give a shout out to Steve-O at this point as well. He was very excited when I told him you were coming on tonight, Kieran. So give a quick, obviously a Burnley fan as well. Let's move on to West Ham Crystal Palace. Darius, what are your thoughts on this one, man?
I think West Ham score against Palace. I actually think that West Ham would have scored against Spurs if they'd kept 11 men on the park, because that game was so even and it changed on that red card massively. I think West Ham will bounce back here. I think potentially it'll be. I think it will either be a 2-2 draw or it'll be a 1-1 draw, something like this.
Wolves versus Leeds. Trick, you want to tell us what you think of this one? You've got a Leeds defender, don't you? Presumably on your bench.
I've got 2 Leeds players. I've got Rodon and I've got Stack.
Yeah.
And I bought them both in for this bench boost this week. So I'm fingers crossed that João Pedro doesn't get injured tonight, because it's a bit tricky, isn't it, this bench boost? Because you never know. Any time someone can get rested. You can't trust Maresca. I think Leeds actually, mind if they don't score much, do they? So I think it's going to be quite low scoring, this one. It might be 0-0, or I'll go 1-0 to Leeds. I don't think Strand Larsen's back, is he? That could make a difference.
All right, okay. So the big one on Saturday, I guess, they both wanted. We usually divvy up, ladies and gentlemen, who's going to do the. Steve was just saying, I'm listening. Hello, mate. We usually divvy these predictions, but both Darius and Trig want to have their opinions on this one. I will just say, lads, we've got 40 minutes. We still have to get through all our teams and everything. But Darius, I'll hand over to you first, as Man United are at home. Man United versus Chelsea. Obviously, Darius is a Man United supporter. Trig is a Chelsea supporter. What do you think, mate? Man United 5-0, presumably?
I actually think that if I had a free hit this week, I'd bring in Cole Palmer and captain him against Man United. This game is either going one of 2 ways. Either this is the game where Man United lose and get rammed through by Chelsea's midfield, which is a superior midfield, and I think Chelsea will tear Man United's midfield apart. It's just a matter of how tired they are after the Bayern Munich game, and whether Amarin's set up the team. Like, I just look at Man United's midfield, and I just don't see us doing anything against half the teams in the Premier League. We just get the fact they never signed a midfielder is just appalling. Like, you can even look at the teams on the screen: Liverpool better midfield, Brighton better midfield, Spurs better midfield, West Ham, Palace probably better midfields, Chelsea better midfield, Fulham, Brentford probably not, Bournemouth better midfield, Newcastle better midfield, Villa better midfield, Arsenal better midfield, Man City better midfield. Man United finishing in the bottom half of the table based off the midfield alone. Midfield wins you everything in the Premier League, and I just think Chelsea will boss it. But the Man United fan of me thinks that Bruno's going to get a double and Cunha's going to come back from injury and star off the bench, and I don't need Semenyo this week. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 Man United win, but in reality, it's probably going to be 3-0 Chelsea.
Trig, I'm guessing you're not going to disagree with that.
I am slightly, because we struggle sometimes going there, and I think the Champions League could have a bearing. But I think most of United's good work comes down the right-hand side, doesn't it, with Buemo and Ahmad and all those. And they're up against Cucurella, so they're not going to get much joy out of that. And Caicedo's going to be bossing that midfield. And Darius might be right. Apparently, they might be sacking Amorim soon. Has he got 3 games? He's been given 3 games, has he, to sort himself out? So if they want rid of him, all they've got to do is lose. I think Amorim wants to go himself, so he's not going to be trying too hard. And hopefully Chelsea do win. But I think it could be difficult. That extra week, that whole week United have got off could make a big difference. So I'm going to say a draw, 1 each.
Okay, I'll do this next one just for the sake of time. Fulham Brentford, I'm going to go another Anderson masterclass. 2 defensive contributions, clean sheet, 3 bonus points. 1-0 to Fulham. 1-0 to Fulham.
Collins 17 point or 1-0.
Bugger off. Kieran, I'll come to you this one, mate. Bournemouth Newcastle. What do you reckon on that, mate? On Sunday.
I'm very quickly going to say, by the way, I just did a quick bit of research when we were waiting. The last time before the Liverpool game that Burnley lost at home was to Nottingham Forest in one of their final home games in the Premier League in that season. So, they lost 2-1 in that one when I was scrolling through. So that was the one before that Liverpool game, which might change my prediction, but who knows? In terms of Bournemouth Newcastle, let's keep this one close. I think Newcastle do look like a decent attacking side. I think they're starting to wake up a little bit. I think Bournemouth are at home, so they should have the advantage. But I think Newcastle, off the back of the Barcelona game, teams don't do well off the back of Europe when not used to it. So it'll be 3-1 Bournemouth.
Nick's cat has obviously pressed the button again to disconnect him.
That's why I locked my cat out of the room. That and the fact that my cat thinks. My cat, by the way, when it hears my voice, thinks I must be talking to it because I live alone. So therefore, it always responds. So I have to shut the door. Otherwise, you'd hear me out in the whole way through.
Cat again, was it, Nick? Cat.
No, I can't blame the cat this time.
It was us. We were boring the socks off. We went, I need a break.
It's me scrolling away to another page.
He just walks out when he wants a break. Nick, I'm going to come to you next one. Sunderland versus Villa, mate.
0-0. Save some time. Aston Villa can't score. Sunderland are good at home. I don't know why people think this is a good fixture for Villa. Very difficult place to go and get a win. And if they do well, it'll be because of Harvey Elliott. But other than that, I'll say 0-0.
Kieran, I've got to come to you as the Arsenal supporter for the final prediction. Arsenal, the big match, probably the biggest match of the season, really, isn't it? Or one of the 2 biggest matches of the season, the other one being the vice versa fixture, Arsenal Man City. What are you reckoning? What are you hoping for this one, mate?
Do you know what? If you'd asked me let's say 2 weeks ago, I'd say 3-0 Arsenal. But unfortunately, City have managed to sign the guy that stopped Arsenal from winning the Champions League in Donnarumma. So we'll have to settle for a 1-0 victory in this game, unfortunately.
Lads, any your thoughts, given how big a game this is? I mean, it's basically, let's be honest, it's what prevented me wildcarding anyway, because, 1 3-Man City or 2 3-Man City, 2... I mean, Nick, I'll come to you. What are your thoughts on this one, mate?
1-0 to Arsenal. I'd stick with Arsenal, yeah. I don't think City are as good as they've looked on occasion. They're equally bad when they want to be still, I think.
Darius?
Haaland's scoring in this game. They're not keeping a clean sheet. That man is a man in form. He'll bully his way through Haaland. He'll bully his way through Saliba and Gabriel and whoever else they chuck in there. It's inevitable. Haaland has now become inevitable again, and I don't see Arsenal stopping him.
The only thing I will say as an Arsenal fan is
I think I'll be like 2-2. I'm going to go with 2-2. I think there'll be 2 goals for each team.
I can see that happening. The only thing I would counter with is, weirdly, as an Arsenal fan, I'm more confident in our defence keeping a clean sheet against better opposition than I am against like weaker opposition. Because against better, we focus and know that if we concede, then it's going to be difficult. Whereas against weaker, we kind of play around a little bit more at the back. So we always seem to step it up. But yeah, look, wouldn't surprise me if it was an open game with City getting the first goal and just making Arsenal open up a little bit more.
I'm going to end the poll on who's the most essential. Haaland at 76%. Semenyo at just 15%. Does surprise me, the gap between those two.
76?
Yeah.
That is mental, right? But does that then mean that the people in the chat, I guess, look, can you just fire another one in while we're speaking and just go, would you sell Salah for Haaland, yes or no? Because that's what this suggests, right? Either that or you're going like 5-4-1.
Would you sell?
The only way you have Salah and
everybody's
Haaland,
selling Salah for Haaland.
Yeah.
you have to be, right? If you're saying he's essential, then that means like, would you sell Salah to get Haaland?
Well,
The thing is, Haaland's only essential because he's home to Burnley in game week 6, and it's like suicide not going there. But so it's a different kind of thing with Semenyo, isn't it? Because he's never going to be your captain. So, but really, Haaland's only a short-term essential, in my opinion, which is why I'm tempted to free hit just to get him for that week. But I think most people.
And then you can throw in the right winger for that game, whether it's an Oscar Bob or a Doku, then you're laughing right on a free hit.
Lads, for the sake of time, knowing that we need to finish in half an hour, usually ask us to pick out our players we pick on free hit. I'm not going to bother because this is Rob T's chart for projected goals and clean sheets. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
No one's free hitting. No one's free hitting.
Can I give you one player that very few people own but would have in a free hit? Agbadu at Wolves. That's the one that I'm just going to shout. Agbadu at Wolves.
Agbadu, shake. I have to do that every time his name's mentioned.
Highest C bit of any defender playing against a crap Leeds team at home. Yeah,
they're
cool.
Not crap. They're a good Leeds team.
They're amazing at home.
With goals behind them, but good.
Like we know about most northern teams when they travel, they don't travel well.
Trig, can I come to you, mate? Did you not say this is the lowest predicted clean sheets and goals for years or something? I can't remember if it was your
It's the lowest predicted goals since April 2023.
Yeah.
So not even last season, the season before that.
So our basic message is
18 months. We'd never had a week with they're just all evenly maxed fixtures, aren't they? There's no...
Yeah.
If you're saying April 2023, then that's the 22-23 season, right? So we were actually talking 3 seasons ago there.
Yeah. A long time. Rob T was talking about it, and I think they were talking about it on the Solio podcast. And it's just been years since they had one so low as this. So it's the worst week you could free hit in the last 3 years.
And even the clean sheet, there's not even a 30%, 40% clean sheet odds. So to move on, our basic message here is don't free hit. Unless your team is...
Or if you do, looking at that, don't get an Everton player in because they're bottom on both.
All right, okay, right. So let's move on to our teams for next week. We'll start with Kieran's. Kieran, I'll read out your team and then you can just let us know any transfers or anything you've got planned. So Petrovic in goal against Newcastle at home. Virgil against Everton at home. Mekalenkovic away to Burnley. Munoz and Lecroix. Say it for me, Craig.
Lecroix.
Away to West Ham. The Coupier at home to Tottenham. And then Gapco at Everton. Bruno Fernandes at home to Chelsea. Saka injured, but in your starting 11 at the minute at home to Man City. Semenyo at home to Newcastle. And Haaland captain away to Arsenal with the Bravka, Jorginho, Gouet and Fulkrog on the bench. What are your thoughts for coming into this game week, Kieran?
My thoughts are, Gary, you sent me a message saying, Kieran, send me your team from last week and send me your team from this week, and I hadn't done anything. And Saka was auto subbed off for Jorginho, Ritter, and Haaland was captain. So I have no idea what I'm doing. But what I mean is I have no idea what I'm doing.
Okay.
Like in my head beforehand, I said, Milenkovic out for Senesi. No, it's not going to be that, is it? It would be De Kuiper, if anyone, for Senesi. but then I'm playing Jorginho Ritter against Spurs. Look, I'm doing that right. That is what I'm doing. I'm hoping Saka somehow recovers and plays, and I'm moving my captaincy. I'm moving my captaincy to. I'll probably gamble and have a bit of fun, and maybe go for a Munoz or a Semenyo. Lacroix or Semenyo, which is just shocking. But I can't captain Haaland against my own team when I've said it'll be 1-0 Arsenal. Maybe I captain Gakpo. Maybe I captain Bruno and hope for a penalty in the 92nd minute. I don't know. It's a shocking team for this week, but like you showed, there is no good team for this week. That it's a horrible week to wildcard as well. That you kind of just roll with it and hope you can. I think it's a week to punt on captaincy. That's probably what I'd say. Like Semenyo will probably be more captain this week than in any other week this season.
Vindaloo's saying looks like a week to bench boost, Kieran.
0, 0, 0, 0. Yeah, no, I could go for that.
Nick, you had a bit of a reaction there when we put Nick's team up. What are your thoughts, mate? What caused
that was the Haaland captain after him saying that Arsenal were going to win 1-0. But yeah, it's very difficult to pick a captain. I think I'd probably go with Fernandes. I don't think you can trust Gakpo. I mean, Liverpool aren't playing until tomorrow in the Champions League. So I'm not sure you can trust Gakpo to play. Fernandes, at least you know he's going to play 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And they should have a reaction after that Arsenal game, I think.
It's almost a case of like, do I bring it? Is my transfer Jorginho Ritter to a midfielder, but then what midfielder at that low price point would you then captain or make it worthwhile? So I think that's possibly like instead of bringing in, but if De Kuyper is injured, then I kind of have to bring in someone for De Kuyper and let Ritter play. So yeah, look, my team's not in great position, but it's also not a time to panic with the fixtures this week either. I think it will just be a relatively low scoring week with some people with the right punts doing well.
Is there no one you can bring in for Saka and give the armband to?
The thing is, Trig, I don't know if you know this, but like Saka and me, we experienced a moment that will never happen to anyone else. I took his virginity as a barber. And there's a YouTube video of it where my hair was down to my shoulders. And for an Arsenal video, he shaved it down to a lot shorter than this. And that connection, considering it happened on the 14th of February, means that like he's always going to have a place in my heart. Like any woman who comes into my life has to accept their second to Saka.
That was a strange story.
Very weird. Virgil van Dijk, you could captain possibly.
That is the one that I'm tempted with. I genuinely am tempted. I said he should be the captain last week for a lot of people when I was saying, if you don't have Haaland, then I'd captain Virgil over Salah. And people thought I was mental. But yeah, no, he genuinely is a shout this week. Do you know what I might do, because he shouldn't be in my team anymore, is maybe just captain Milenkovic and hope he gets a clean sheet and a goal.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. A clean sheet's certainly possible, isn't it?
It's an average team for an average week is the way that I summarise it.
Is Saka a good barber?
No, he's shocking. He's a very gentle guy. But he also went in with the 0 about 3/4 of the way up my head.
Oh, dear.
Which, I'll never forgive him for. But no, lovely guy. And let's move on to your team, Gary, which looks very impressive this week. Tell us about what your thoughts are. And that alert next to Murillo, is that what your transfer is going to be?
All right. So I'm going to say, first of all, and go to Saka for a haircut. Well, I certainly won't give him a tip, but this is my team for this week, right? So one of the benefits, ladies and gentlemen.
You've got a bench boost. You've got a bench
boost.
Wait,
Trig, let me read through and then I'm going to say, right? One of the benefits of doing a podcast with an all-time FPL legend like Nick, a man very knowledgeable on football like Kieran, and also for some reason Darius is here, is I get to ask their advice on my different moves, right? So there's lots of things going through my head this week. So this is my team. Stell's in goal away to Burnley. Anderson at home to Brentford. Murillo obviously currently yellow flagged away to Burnley. Konza away to Sunderland. Anderson of Nottingham Forest away to Burnley. Fernandes at home to Chelsea, vice captain. Salah home to Everton, captain. Wirtz at Everton. And then Evan Nielsen at home to Newcastle. Gyökeres at home to Man City. Mateta, don't like Mateta at the moment, away to West Ham. And then I've got Dubravka, Esteve, Porro and Reinders on my bench. So on Sunday night, as I was telling the lads before we started, I made a members only video where I think I said at the start of the stream, where I was thinking about wildcarding. Then I went to the point that someone FPL Nightmare made on that in the comment to that video is I want to be able to. Well, one, I don't need to wildcard because the team looks pretty good, and secondly, so that I was debating whether to wildcard this week, next week, or in game week 7. And of course, the problem if you wildcard next game week is I wouldn't be able to play my triple captain. So I've got, I think, 3 free transfers. So next week, sorry for going into so much detail here, but I want your lads' views on this, will be the Salah out probably for Semenyo, Mateta out for Haaland, and then triple captain Haaland, and then wildcard in game week 7, which, to be fair, I do think is the best week. But Trig, as you said, and you were trying to encourage me to do this last week, bench boost possibly on, but I would, if Morello is ruled out, would have to use a transfer on Morello, probably for Senesi. What do you think, Trig? What do you think for that as a potential bench boost team if I were to do that?
Yeah, definitely. I think any week where you can get a full playing team, just bench boost, because with the DEFCON points, I think the floor's moved up a bit. So you're going to get like 10, 12 points minimum, probably. As long as everybody does turn up, that's the hard part, getting them all to play. Which is why if you can do it, because I think those times are going to be rare when you can have a full team. And when you wildcard, review might tell you to bring in Kuiper Jr. or someone. So you then you won't have like a possibility to bench boost. So bench boost while you can, I think.
Yeah, I'll come to Darius here after slagging him off. I love you really, Darius. What do you reckon, mate? What do you reckon? Just to say as well, the poll came out. Would you sell Salah to Haaland? 76% yes. No, 24%. So there still is some Salah love out there. What do you reckon, Darius?
I think I'd just wildcard this week. If I was
for
you, Gary.
No,
because like you've still got Anderson who needs to go. You've still got both Andersons that both need to go. You've got Murillo who potentially might miss. You've got Konza. You've got Wirtz. You've got Mateta. You've got Salah. You've got Bruno. I'd actually change almost your entire team. Other than Even Nilsson and Gyökeres, I think they're passable. Everyone else other than Dubravka and maybe Pedro Porro, I'd have been off in a wild card in your team if I was wild carding myself this week. And then you don't have to worry about whether you're going to play your triple captain next week because you won't have to make your moves and you save the transfers and you arguably get a better team.
As I said, ladies and gentlemen, I like to get the opinion of experts, but also just randomers like Darius, you know. Kieran, what do you reckon? Do you reckon bench boost? I put a poll in, by the way, which currently is going 71% no, I shouldn't bench boost.
Sorry, I've become slightly distracted. I want to know what the word Raj means because Screaming for Vengeance has said that I'm Raj. Does anyone know what Raj is? I'd love to know it.
It means you're good, I think.
No idea.
Hardcore.
No idea. No idea. I'll look it up.
No idea.
Looking at your Walsh
team.
is always in his novels, Raj, isn't it? It's Scottish.
Look, if it's a compliment, I'll take it. If it's an insult, I'll take it.
R-A-J?
No, it's a compliment.
Cool, we'll take it. Thank you. Gary, looking at your team, I'm sitting right in the middle of the two. I wouldn't bench boost it. I also wouldn't wildcard it. What I do, and look, we'll come back to we won't because I won't be here, but you'll come back to this next week. I'd captain Anderson from Forest in this game because I think he's your highest scoring player this week. But looking at your defense, I think the reason why I wouldn't bench boost it is it's not a defense filled with it's not a bench filled with lots of money, right? And I think that's the key thing. Normally we bench boost knowing that, cool, now I can use a wild card, take the money out of my bench, and your bench is like 4 mil, 5 mil, 5 and change, right? So I think it's fine. I think it, like Trig said, it's probably a 10-point bench boost there. But is 10 points worth it? I think you probably get better opportunities through this first half of the season. But I don't mind your team. I think your team probably scores 10 points above the average this week.
Particularly for a transfer, if we've got to do it, take Murillo out. As me and Trig were saying before we started streaming. There is going to be the wildcard, and there's also going to be the AFCON 5 transfers as well. I don't know. I mean, the poll's telling me 69% no, 31% yes. So I think, Trig, you're in the minority here. Okay, we've only got 20 minutes left, so I'm going to move on to Darius's team. Darius has Sells in goal away to Burnley, Milenkovic, Collins, he loves his Collins, away to Fulham, Diorf at home to Crystal Palace, Senesi home to Newcastle, Reinders, Gapco, and Fernandes away to Man City. Reinders away to Man City, away to Arsenal, Gapco at home to Everton, Fernandes at home to Chelsea, Evan Nilsson at home to Newcastle, Holland away to Arsenal, and Watkins away to Sunderland. How are you feeling about this one, Darius? Any plans?
Well, I think that potentially that Cunha might be fit, and if Cunha's fit, he'll start instead of Reindeers, and Reindeers will drop to the bench, and I'll still play a 4-3-3. So I think he's definitely. If Cunha said he wanted to play last week, so you'd think that if he wanted to play last week, he probably gets a game this week. And to be honest, that they probably need him back in the team. He's been there. Well, prior to that injury, he had been their best looking player. So yeah, there's two options. One, I move Cunha to Semenyo and then play Semenyo over Reindeers or over Juve. I look at this defense this week and I think I am due a 15-pointer this week. And so there's a couple of them have been literally letting themselves down. Now, I really like the narrative that while we're doing the lock-in on Saturday night, that Anderson will be obviously playing for Gary and Trig's team. How ironic would it be that Collins just towers above Anderson off a corner and heads it in, and it's 1-0
No.
I actually can see a world where this happens and I lose it completely on stream and the views just go straight up because they all know that the D-Unit has Collins and they will all know that Gary and Trig have Anderson, and that I'll be gloating like the gloat that I am about how good that I said that there was a 17-pointer incoming. So you heard it here first. One of them's happening this week. Milenkovic, Collins, Senesi. One of them's going to go and score a goal this week. I've just got a feeling. And this will be the week where all of a sudden I go from 8.8 mil into the top 4 mil based off just some weird nonsense that you can't predict, but it happens because that's FPL. And I think also, I know that I've got captaincy on Haaland at the moment, but I think I'm going to do a real punt this week. I feel I'm just going to put it on. I'm going to literally just flip the card until it lands on whoever it tells me to captain. And I'm telling you, it could be a defender. And it's going to be either epically, it's going to be like Nightmares Gordon shout. It's either going to be biblically awful or it's going to be biblical. Maybe it'll be Collins. Maybe that's the smart captaincy decision. Captain Collins. Bank him in to score that one goal that we know that Fulham will concede, and then it'll be 34 points. I mean, that would be the story of all stories. And I was sitting there and I'm going, oh, how's that Anderson pick going, boys? How's it going?
Craig, I've just had a vision of Saturday night around 8:30. A corner comes in for Fulham and Anderson rises over the top of Collins to score a header. What do you think of that, mate? Which do you think's more likely? I reckon certainly the second one.
Definitely your vision. Apparently, Raj means wild, unpredictable, and violent.
Yeah, I know. I looked that up. I wasn't going to say.
That is me. Yeah, fair enough. That is nailed my personality and approach to life in one word.
That's going to be D-Unit on Saturday night when Anderson scores, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
I'm adding it to my Tinder bio as we speak. Give me a second.
I won't mention what you were shouting out of Fest, Kieran, but to certain podcasts, we won't go there.
Jermaine Genius.
Kieran, any thoughts on Darius' team?
Do you know what, right? I'm going to tell Darius something that I think he'll enjoy. Darius, did you know Fulham have conceded 0 goals from open play and 0 goals from counter-attack this season? So all of their goals have been set pieces or penalties or an own goal. So
it's coming. I'm telling you, Colin's goal is coming. Trig and Gary are going to be hating it. I'm telling you.
Do you know? Here's my prediction: both Collins and Anderson score. Well, just for the banter, because Forest also suck at set pieces. Like they've let in 2 from set pieces so far this season. So like I think neither team are fantastic. I think again, Leno's a goalkeeper where Fulham as a team just limit teams to really shit shots outside the box, and therefore it's unlikely you're going to score from them, but you'll get lots of corners. So yeah, look, I don't hate that shout from Collins. Looking through this team, like it's 100% a team that needs a wild card, right? No. In all seriousness, it's solid. It's got, as much as Darius doesn't like Defcon, it's got Defcon in Senesi. It's got a crap player in Juve, who I'm sure you want to get rid of sooner rather than later.
Oh, he loves him. He loves him.
Yeah,
I think Juve could get a goal this week against Palace. I think he could get an attacking return.
I think that's where you've gone wrong, right? I think that's where I'd be starting Sarr over Juve almost certainly, right? If Juve was more of a annoyingly Defcon defender, then I'd be starting him against Palace. But I think you are exactly that. You're relying on him getting an attacking return to outscore Sarr. And I think that's probably the only thing that I would change. But team overall solid.
Is Sarr fit?
Nah,
that's a good point, actually.
Aaron couldn't go on the bench because they're red flagged.
Yeah, no, he's not fit.
Fair, that's a good point. That's how little attention I've been playing into it. Instead, I watched Olympiacos draw 0-0 with Paphos, who had 10 men for like 18 minutes. Chiquinho, I don't like you anymore, whoever you are. 1% owned. But right, going back to this, like, no, it's a solid team. Do you know what? If my balls were bigger, then my captaincy would be on Watkins. I go, why have I held him on for this long? He's playing Sunderland away. Yep, that's where his 2 goals are coming. And I'd probably throw my captaincy onto him at the aspect where there's not really many good captaincy choices this week in your team.
Big balls decision, as FPL Nightmare would say. Right, let's move on to Trig's team. Trig's got Sanchez in goal away to Man United, if he plays. Virgil... Fizzy Water told me to call him in the chat. And Anderson, Wirtz, Salah, Reinders, and Bruno Fernandes. And then up front, Mateta, João Pedro, Gyökeres. And his bench boost will be Dubravka. I think the fixtures are relevant here. At home to Nottingham Forest. Senesi at home to Newcastle. And Rodon and Stack away to Wolves. Quite a nice bench boost, Trig, I'll say.
Yeah. If I can get there with everybody intact, we don't know, do we? I mean, Man City aren't playing till tomorrow. It's not impossible that Reinders doesn't play at the weekend, or like you said, Sanchez or João Pedro. There's always that possibility. Or Gyökeres could be more injured than Arteta's letting on, or even Wirtz could get a rest, couldn't he? So you never know with a bench boost. That's why I hate the chips so much. I really don't like
I hate
bench boost.
I hate having Champions League matches on Thursday night. It just doesn't feel normal.
No,
you know
exactly.
I mean?
It's very close. That's why I'm worried about Semenyo getting more luck, because he's getting lucky because Newcastle are going to be tired. It's worrying me a bit, that one.
Any moves planned?
Yes. So I think people are sleeping on Salah, to be honest. People have like drawn the conclusion Salah's no longer any good. But I'll tell you what, against Everton, motivated, wouldn't be surprised if he got a couple of goals and an assist and a penalty.
You remember last season, Trig? Haaland started off with 10 goals in the first 3 game weeks. Salah was doing all right. Yeah. And then everyone went Haaland to Salah. And it completely backfired because then Haaland was pretty average for the rest. I think he got a lot of his goals, like, I can't remember the exact percentage, but 20% of his goals, 25% of his goals in the first 3 game weeks. And Salah then went on to break the record. It could be that again, couldn't it?
I know. We're too wedded to recency bias, aren't we? And I'm hoping this Everton game is the game, because we're running out of otherwise we're going to end up getting rid of him, aren't we? And we're going to miss out on his points.
He dropped you?
Hey?
Is he dropped?
Is he what?
Is he dropped?
No, he's not going to drop in price. Wirtz will tonight, I think. But this could be the game when he comes alive against Everton. You know, the motivation's there in the Merseyside derby. And people are like sleeping on him a bit. You know, we're almost expecting him to blank now, aren't they? Or to get a 94th minute goal.
Yeah.
But he could actually play well. He could actually have a good game. We just don't know, do we? And then Lux and Darius are going to be in shock, aren't they?
Not really. Haaland's rising in price tonight, Trig, so you're going to miss out on an extra 0.1 by holding on to Salah an extra week.
Stop whining people about price.
It would be such a stupid week to take out Salah and get Haaland in this week. It really
you said that last week, though, Trig, and he outscored him comfortably.
Yeah, that was a stupid week to do it as well. Just because it paid off for you doesn't mean it was right. It's still a shit decision. But, but yeah, so that's my team anyway. I won't be making any transfers. I've definitely decided not. Next week, there could be a hit coming in. Salah, Matata and Wirtz will probably all be going. And Palmer, Haaland and Indai or Paquetá or one of those sort will be coming in.
Kieran, I'll come to you for the only word on Trig's thing because we have to round up very shortly. Would you bench boost this? I quite like it.
No, if Leeds were at home, I would, but away from home, I think unfortunately it's like a 1-0 loss, and I think you're kind of like tracking along with those players. No, I like the team. I get the Salah thing. Everton-Liverpool's just such a hard game. Like, Salah's record against Everton is decent-ish, but I don't know. It's one of those where I saw someone post it where they said if the final whistle was blew in the 90th minute, Salah would have no attacking returns this season. Now, it's a game of football, so obviously it's not because stoppage time exists for a reason, so that's completely irrelevant. But it is interesting, and we've always known it about Salah that, like, first half, he'll be invisible. Second half, he'll end up inevitably doing something. It's just a case of whether this season that something is 2 attacking returns or 1. But looking at Trig's team, it's probably almost your safest 1 minimum attacking return. And for a midfielder, you prioritise that over a striker with sort of that 1 floor ceiling. 1 floor ceiling? No, 1 floor. I don't know. I'm not making sense anymore. We're a bottle of wine deep into it. But yeah, look, I like your team, Trig. In essence, I wouldn't bench boost it, but it's close to it. And I can see why there'd be temptation. And I get why you're captaining Salah. Probably would captain him as well, looking at your team.
Okay. I'll just say before we wrap up. So my bench boost, it was very heavily no, I shouldn't bench boost, but now it's 59% no, yes, 41%. So I think I need to go and think away from that between now and Saturday.
To clarify, I'm at least 2 of those votes. So take that into your consideration.
On the
you need
yes,
to make up your own mind, Gary, and pick your own team.
I'm engaging the chat. So we usually do a Q&A now, but we need to finish by 8 because Trig needs to go and watch his beloved Chelsea, and I'm sure a lot of you will be as well. Lads, I'll quickly say, please join myself and Darius and Trig on the FPL lock-in at 8 o'clock on Saturday, where we will be watching Anderson and or Collins score a towering hat-trick against each other. But before we finish, mainly Kieran, great Pubcast debut, by the way, despite apparently being violent and crazy. Where can we find yourself and the Double Pivot podcast? And when will the quizzes be coming out, including the only one that's come out so far is the one I cheated on, which I don't often admit to. But...
So quizzes-wise, we've got 2 that have been recorded that are in the finalisation of editing. The goal was to release one of them during the international break because that would have been ultimate uptake time. That's not happened because I am a failure. But you'll be able to find it over on YouTube at the Double Pivot Podcast.
Link to the chat in the description.
That's it. Check the description for that one because that's definitely the right one. On Twitter, I think we are _ the Double Pivot, which is confusing. And on Twitter, I am FPL _Discomfort. Follow me if you want to see someone who sometimes posts logical stuff, but 90% of the time posts emotional stuff. And the emotional stuff is probably the most fun, where you can engage with it and absolutely tear me a new one. But no, I've really enjoyed this, Gary. Thanks a lot for having me onto this. It's been great.
Thanks, mate. I'll post at the Double Pivot podcast in the chat. Yeah, and do go out and support us. Shane and Kieran are both come on, both very good friends of the channel. Please do go and check out their stuff. And at some point there'll be a quiz coming out where Trig gets his ass kicked. I've been reliably told. Trig, where can people find you, mate? Apart from here,
where it says on the screen there, Trig Talks FPL on YouTube.
FPL. Excellent video you had out today, I think.
Oh, you like that one?
I really like that one. Yeah, I like that one where you were telling people like me to calm down. Darius, where can we find you, mate, apart from on here?
I love Trig's videos. They normally come out when I've woken up. So it's like one of the first things I normally listen to. So it's quite good. It puts me in the mind of Trig still is listening to Solio like a kid reading a textbook in class.
I noticed your comment. Yeah.
The funny thing, you can find me at FPL D-Unit. Everyone knows where I am. I'm looking forward to locking. I can already feel it. I can feel the moment when it'll be like Kukurea last season, Gary. But this year it's going to be Collins. It's going to be biblical.
And I'll give a shout out to your channel, Darius, because I have not got much time to watch FPL content, as I told Andrew today. But I do love your, as someone who doesn't have Sky Sports or TNT Sports, your watch-alongs do not get as many views as they deserve. They're excellent. Every 3 p.m. on Saturday, is that right? Or most?
Yeah, if I'm at home, I'll do it every 3 p.m. And I do quite like doing the Sunday games as well. This week I'll do Sunday because there's multiple games on, I think, which will be 2 p.m. UK time on Sunday.
Yeah, and they're excellent watching you react in very, very passionate ways, as well as to computer games. All right, thanks everyone for watching. Do go and check out and subscribe to the Double Pivot podcast. And enjoy the Champions League games tonight, and good luck for game week 5.